if you're playing live and people come and see you night after night and you're playing different things, then you're kind of inspired by what's happening in the moment. And the people get a unique experience. And you would think that that's kind of an important thing.
Yeah, I think there's two ways to look at it. I think some people might want to go look at a performance of what they hear on the album, you know. Some people might like that.
Right.
To me, that sounds something you would expect from a top 40 band, you know.
Okay.
But the original band that does it, for some, I don't know. Listen, I'm not. If you want to do it that way, that's fine. It's just for me, it's kind of weird, you know, because I think there's no challenge in that.
Okay, now were you trying to always stretch your playing new things? How did you work on things? Like, were you just practicing all the time, even during this
never
period?
practiced.
You never practiced?
I never practiced once
in
my life. Every time, if I was sitting in my bedroom when I was 8 years old, when I was playing like I was performing. And I was expecting to be blown away by what I was doing. I was expecting to impress myself. I would never accept, like, for instance, if I recorded something and it was a spur of the moment thing and it was really good, I couldn't really do it again. I could never accept that. You know, I would always have to be better.
Now, I know that you're not really influenced by other guitar players, but there must be some guitar records that you're a big fan of, or
of course.
Later on. Give me some examples of
course.
things.
Holdsworth. I mean, I remember I walked into a record store and they were playing something on the air, in the system there, and I was going, "Oh my God, what is this?" It was UK
First record.
It was insane. I mean, this is in the dead of night, you know.
Yeah.
It was incredible. But listen, I love Eric Clapton, I love Blackmore and Angus Young and Brian May. I think all of them, they're all great. It's a weird thing because I think that the whole thing about blowing up Marshalls and having big, you know, the big sound basically, that came from hearing rock and roll early on, and I never want to get away from that. So that's obviously an influence there.
And you've always produced all your records.
Yes.
Okay, so how did you know how to produce records? Because you played all different instruments, right? And you know what they were supposed to sound like.
The trick is to walk away. Mm-hmm. When you work on something for a long time, when I do vocals or other takes of other things, I want to make it like really tight and really, you know, tune and that's different because that's sort of like just building a. There's no variable there really.
Right.
You know, it's just really, this is what it's gonna be. Solos is a different thing. Solos is like, you know, I remember way back in the day, I would do a solo and people would clap their hands and shit. I said, that sucked. You know, I want to be knocked out myself. I don't want to have somebody say that's good. You know, I don't want that.
I'd like to take a second to talk to you about this channel. This is actually Rick Beato 2. I've had it since the beginning of my main channel, and many of you are not subscribed. As a matter of fact, 87% of the people that watch this channel regularly are not subscribed. So I encourage you to hit the subscribe button on this channel and on my main channel. This will help me get even more of my dream guests and help continue to grow both channels. Thank you. Okay, so tell me how your guitar setup has changed since the 80s. Have things changed that much?
Not really, no. When I started using these plexis,
Yep.
I realized obviously there was not enough gain in them.
Yep.
Once again, I went to Soundside, and the guy goes, try this. It was some handmade pedal from Salt Lake City, Utah. Yeah?
Okay.
It was a gray DoD 250. And they were handmade back then, in the late 70s, like 77, 78, something like this. And I plugged it in, I love this. And I used that forever. I used that one and the 50 and 100 watt plexis. Same exact thing. I used it since from 77 or 78 until 1989 when somebody in the Soviet Union stole that pedal. They stole nothing else, just that pedal.
They knew how good it was.
You know, I tried different things, and then DoD actually came to me and they made my model, but as a black one of that. And then we stopped doing that, and now we have a Fender that's based same thing. So it really is no difference, you know. The pickups have changed. Oh, that's a good one. I gotta tell you that.
Yeah.
So when I grew up in Sweden, there's 50 cycles, 220 volts, and the pickups didn't hum that much, single coils.
Yeah.
So when I came to America, it started humming like crazy.
Right. You think,
somebody
what's
got
going
me in touch with Steve Blucher at DiMarzio.
Yep.
This is like late 82 or like 83. And he was, oh, don't worry, I'll send you a PAF. I'll send it right to you. And no, but no, I don't want to do that. And I said, why don't you take two coils and put them on top of each other like this?
Stacked humbucker.
Yeah, they didn't exist then.
Right.
So they did. They sent me one called HS1, humbucker Strat 1. I said, not good. I mean, it was anemic.
Okay.
They sent HS2. I said, no, sorry, man, that's not that good. And then they sent HS3. I said, oh, really? I mean, we got to do better than this. That's the best we can do. So for 20 years, I used that pickup. That was quiet, but it didn't really sound like what I wanted to sound like, yeah? Then 2008 or somewhere, I was at a NAMM show. Evan Scott from Seaman Duncan came to me. I know you use the Morses, but let me make you something. I said, okay, whatever. And they sent me a set of pickups that were dead quiet. But they sounded exactly like Fender pickups.
Wow.
And I said, no, that's not what I'm looking for. And I tried to explain what I'm looking for. They sent a different wind, and then a different wind. And they would send it to me in the mail. I would glue, solder it in,
right.
Play in the studio, call them up. No, you need a little more, the response on the highest fret, they're not exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, so we changed the magnet to this, or whatever, you know. And they did 46 variants.
Okay.
Until I liked it. So this is an AGS 46.
46 variations.
Yes.
So you...
And this one are 3 different pickups. And then on top of that, I said I want the plastic of the cover to be exact like a 1972 Stratocaster, which is from the factory, gray. It's not white. It's not yellow. It's not aged. It came from the factory, this color. And they had to do different palettes of colors for like, I don't know.
Drove them crazy, right?
I think so.
It's not right.
I think so.